last time you smiled about a rainy day instead of complaining about frizzy hair or wet socks? Or the last time you saw a pile of autumn leaves and thought about jumping in rather than groaning about raking them? When was the last time you rolled down a hill or ran barefoot through the grass? Rain, crunchy leaves, the outdoors used to be such magical moments before we started seeing them as chores. So when did they start becoming inconveniences in our lives? In our world, we are always hustling from task to task. We move at lightning speed, rarely pausing to slow down. We forget that there is more to just simply existing. There's truly living. And that brings me to a word I've come to love, romanticization. So today, as we splash into a rain puddle, we'll explore the definition of romanticization. And then, as we leap into a mass of autumn leaves, we'll discover the many benefits of romanticizing life. And lastly, as we roll down a hill, I will leave you with simple, actionable steps you can start implementing today to view everyday life as art. So I got into the genre of romance in middle school. I would check out the books with flowery backgrounds and dramatic cursive titles, and then I would promptly hide the book away, because if you were caught reading romance in middle school, that was social suicide. But there's something about the way romance novels describe the world, where walking in the cold isn't miserable, but makes you feel alive. Where waiting isn't a frustrating chore, but a moment of anticipation filled with butterflies and hope. Where silence isn't awkward, but peaceful. So I decided to take this realization outside of the pages and begin to find the little romances in my own everyday life. Today, I want to share with you the power of romanticizing life, of finding the magic amongst the mundane. So romanticization is simple to define. It just means to portray life in a more idealized way, or to frame things with a more positive mindset. It's not delusion or denial of the hard things in life, rather acknowledging these hardships and choosing to still see the positives. Oddly enough, as a kid, I loved school. Mondays were my favorite day of the week. The hours of 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. were my favorite time of day. Yes, I was that kid. And yes, you may roll your eyes now. Yet as I've grown older, I've also grown to resent this red-bricked, white-painted, porcelain tile-lined prison, also known as high school. I wondered during a particularly stressful period in my life why I had ever liked school, and especially the homework. But then I realized I had never liked the work itself, but rather how I framed it. I drew on fictional inspirations like Hermione Granger from Harry Potter, or Rory Gilmore from Gilmore Girls. I pretended that my boring trigonometry worksheet was potions homework, or that my chemistry problem set was an assignment at Chilton. I believe romanticization is all about finding the little bits of happiness already hiding in plain sight. And interestingly, the benefits of romanticization aren't just philosophical, but also supported by science. So there's this concept known as the science of small joys. It explores how positive experiences, no matter how short and small, can have a huge impact on our emotional and mental well-being. Researchers at the Affective Science and Psychophysiology Lab at Miami University conducted a study on this, known as the Big Joy Project. In the study, participants were sent a daily text or email detailing a quick 5 to 10 minute positive micro act they needed to perform. After analyzing more than 17,000 people across 169 countries and territories, they found that these participants reported higher emotional well-being, more positive emotions, lower stress, and even some improvements in sleep quality and physical health. It's believed that these small positive actions, such as a brief act of kindness, work so well because they trigger the releases of the same neurotransmitters longer actions, such as an hour of meditation, yield. These small positive actions trigger the releases of neurotransmitters like dopamine and oxytocin. These releases make us feel good. And so a great way to implement this in our lives is through practicing gratitude. A meta-analysis conducted by a group of Brazilian researchers found that noticed that participants who underwent gratitude-invoking activities had a higher life satisfaction score and better mental health. Gratitude psychology tells us that regularly exercising appreciation helps neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin to release. These hormones, once again, make us feel good. Gratitude also activates the prefrontal cortex, which is a primary decision maker. This activation helps us cope better with challenging situations and stay away from making questionable decisions, like texting your ex or procrastinating an essay until 2 hours before the deadline. Not that I would know anything about that. The act of being grateful regularly helps strengthen neural pathways within the brain, meaning it gets easier and easier to appreciate and experience happiness. And so before I finish, I would like to share with you all a couple habits and ideas we can all start implementing to find the little romances in everyday life. So I recently heard of this idea of reverse pet peeves. We all have pet peeves. People who cut in line. People who leave shopping carts in the middle of a parking space. People who text K to a deep, long, meaningful paragraph of text you sent them. But what if we started developing reverse pet peeves? Little things that give us so much satisfaction for seemingly no reason. Like scraping the last bit of jam from a jar. Or a good nonstick pan that's truly nonstick. Or the sound of ice crackling as water is poured over it. Another great way we can implement more romanticization in our lives is through embracing our inner child. Dress up for no reason or blow bubbles out of dish soap. Strut down the streets like it's your catwalk, or pretend you're in a movie montage as you drive to work. Name your silverware or use festive napkins even when it's not a holiday. Whimsy lies within the unexpected, and life is full of small delights if you're just open to noticing them. So as Charles Swindoll once said, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. So I choose to stay positive. I choose to splash into the rain puddles. I choose to jump into the autumn leaves and to roll down hills and to run through the meadows barefoot. I choose to cherish every moment, to romanticize my daily life, and to make it a habit of finding those small, often overlooked little joys. Thank you.